Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for our monthly Fund It Fast chats. This is our 8th installment. We are super excited to be back after our short break in January. I hope the year is off to a great start for everyone, and we look forward to continuing to deliver helpful information to you each and every second Tuesday at 10 a.m. We want to help everyone get EE projects funded and completed. So a little housekeeping here. Please note that your microphones have all been muted upon joining the call. We want to make sure there's no background noise to distract anyone. If you have any questions at all, please use your chat box to submit them. Go ahead and submit your questions at any time during the presentation. We will answer them for you at the end of the call. And if for any reason there are questions we aren't able to answer during that time, please look out for our follow-up email shortly following the call. We will include in that email any questions, responses, as well as a recording of this presentation. All right, so let's jump in. For those of you that have listened in on our earlier presentations, you might notice we've already covered on bill financing. We're revisiting this because it's such an important part of getting EE projects done. We want to be sure everyone has a clear picture of what it's all about. So what's the big deal anyway? Why we keep bringing this stuff up? Funding is a critical barrier to getting EE projects done, as I'm sure everybody's already aware. We feel that OBF is a solution to that for several reasons. Probably the most important reason is it's free money. The loan has an interest rate of exactly 0%. I challenge you to find that at any financial institution. The cost you pay over the lifetime of the loan will only ever be the actual cost of the project itself. No tricks. Also, there's no upfront cost to the customer. Your monthly utility expense will remain the same and it will include your loan payment. So the next natural question is, how does that work? Well, your OBF loan payments are calculated to be bill neutral. Bill neutral is a super fancy sounding utility term that means your loan payment will be equal to the calculated energy savings from your project. So on the example on your screen, we have two blue bars. The top bar represents what you're currently spending monthly on utility costs. The second bar represents your new reduced utility cost after energy savings measures have been installed. Now the green portion of the second bar represents your loan payment. Please take note that both of these bars are exactly the same. What this means is once your loan payment has been paid in full, your OBF loan's been paid in full, the green portion will reflect savings back in your pocket. So how is this payment calculated? Once the energy savings equipment is identified, usually through an assessment or an audit, the total cost of your project is determined. So in this example on your screen, the project cost is $100,000. We've also determined that the rebates and incentives for this particular energy savings equipment adds up to $25,000. So this reduces your total project cost to $75,000. The energy savings equipment for this project is determined to save $3,000 per month. This number actually becomes your loan payment amount. In most cases, your utility has already calculated the energy savings for each individual measure, or your contractor can help you do this. Finally, if we take the total loan amount of $75,000 and divide that by the payment of $3,000, we come up with a number of months it will take to repay this loan, or the loan term. In this example, is 25 months. So that leads to the next question. How much can I borrow? Southern California Edison, Southern California Gas Company, for the most part, have very similar minimum and maximum loan amounts. The minimum loan amount is $5,000 per customer. the maximum is $250,000 per customer. Please keep in mind that this is the minimum and maximum per customer. So small projects at separate meters can be combined to meet the $5,000 minimum, and the $250,000 maximum can be an aggregated total comprised of many different projects. So for PG&E, the reason I have some asterisks there next to PG&E is their minimums are the same, but with one important distinction. For PG&E local government and institutional customers, they can borrow up to a maximum of $4 million in aggregate. So if you're local government or institutional customer, you have a lot more room in the OBF maximum. So can I use OBF for all my projects? The short answer to that question is almost. For loans on Southern California Edison, Southern California Gas, and PG&E accounts, all loan funds must go toward the purchase of eligible energy efficiency equipment. Eligible energy efficiency equipment means any measure for which the utility offers an incentive or a rebate, including measures that are offered as part of one of the utility's turnkey programs. However, PG&E will review applications including measures that do not offer incentives or rebates on a case-by-case basis. So if you feel like you have a super awesome project in your pipeline that has measures that don't have rebates or incentives, don't rule it out for OBF right away. Talk to your PG&E representative. Now you're probably wondering, how can I qualify for an OBF loan? To qualify, your organization must have an active utility account for a minimum of 2 years, no disconnection notices issued at any point over the last 2 years, no 48-hour shutoff notices in the last 2 years. Namely, your organization must be in good credit standing with your utility. Also, there cannot have been any return checks in the past 12 months. And no previous OBF loan defaults. However, please note that everything but the OBF default can and likely would be considered on a case-by-case basis with the IOU. Again, we encourage you to talk to your utility representative. So some other terms and conditions, some other things to kind of keep in mind. An OBF loan term cannot exceed 10 years or the useful life of the equipment, whichever of those is shorter. So the reason for this is to prevent financing equipment that may be obsolete or carrying a loan balance for equipment that may be out of warranty. If the payments are not enough to pay off the loan within this timeline, the customer can offer a buy down. A buy down works just like a down payment on any other loan. It reduces the monthly payment amount. While you can do this, we don't exactly recommend it. The value proposition of OBF lies in 2 points, the way we see it. Number one, having the ability to finance EE measures with a shorter payback period so that you can see savings back in your pocket as quickly as possible. And then number two, being able to execute projects with no upfront or out-of-pocket expenses, that keeps your monthly operational expenses even. So some other points of interest about OBF. I suggest OBF or on-bill financing to all of our local government partners for projects, and I hear a lot of the same pushback from some of them. Some don't want to borrow money and create a liability for their organization. Some may have funds set aside for energy efficiency projects and they feel they don't need to take out a loan. These are all very good points and they may very well be what you're thinking right this second, but think about OBF in relation to your operating expenses. If you have an opportunity to obtain a loan with 0 interest, you can use the set aside capital on other projects or take advantage of other opportunities with no negative consequences. So you can literally stretch your dollar much further. I had a conversation with one of our PG&E representatives a couple of weeks ago, and I think he said it best. That money that you have set aside is worth far more to your organization the longer it stays in your pocket. OBF is an awesome tool with tremendous benefits, and we hope this information allows you to see those benefits in a new light. If you have any questions at all, please take this time to submit them in our chat box. Our SJVCEO Grants and Policy Advisor, Sarah Farrell, who will now she's going to go ahead and take a peek at our chat box and read any questions we may have gotten so far. Sarah?
Good morning, everyone. As Rochelle said, please, if you have any questions at all about OBF, take a second and get them in the chat box. While we wait for your questions, I have a couple questions for you, Rochelle. The first is, how do you account for technology updates or product unavailability at the time of actual project completion if there's, a delay or lag between submitting an application for OBF and actually getting started on a project?
Awesome. That's a great question. And actually, I've run into this before. And what Sarah's getting at is if after you've gone through and done your audit or done your assessment and figured out what exactly you need to install for your project, and you've determined how much that costs, and then you submit your application, while that's going through the review process, you find out something's changed, or there's a product that may not be available, or you missed a lighting fixture and you need to add it in, or something of that nature. Generally, when those initial applications are submitted to the utility for review, they give a little bit of padding for those sorts of adjustments. So if there's any changes that happen, in the interim while the application is waiting to be approved, it doesn't gum up the whole process. So that's actually something that's very easily accounted for. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about, Sarah? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for that. One more question for me. Are there any restrictions on bundling? Like if you want to do, say, a lighting project, is there anything that you can't bundle with that lighting project?
Absolutely not. So the OBF loans, again, they are tied to the meter, but they can be aggregated into one project. However, it's very flexible. It's however that works best for the organization. So that was an easy one. Thanks so much, Sarah. Do we have any other questions out there? Or trying to give people a chance to submit any other questions they might have about the program. Okay.
We do have one more from Corey. It says measures are not able to be solar. Is that correct?
That's actually a very good question. The short answer to that, and I'll be completely candid with this, I'm not entirely sure. What we always encourage people to do is to do all of their energy efficiency measures first, because once you install solar, your incentive and your rebate structure is going to change. So the amount of rebates and incentives you'll be able to get back from the utility is going to be reduced drastically. So actually I'm more than happy to, yeah, okay. I'm getting some other feedback from some of our other callers. There's no solar for OBF. So that answers our question. Thank you so much for that. And I think we're good on questions. I'm trying to delay just a little bit to make sure everyone has enough time to submit any other questions they may have. Okay. Okay, so we encourage you to, I'll go ahead and we encourage you guys to reach out to us on social media, through email, or on any of our websites to see how we can serve you. We always are looking to distribute information or help our municipal partners with projects. All of our past fast chats are recorded and they can be found on our website, www.sjvcleanenergy.org, under the resources heading. And lastly, we did have an impromptu guest speaker lined up, Riley Dietrich, to talk about some projects that he's been working on recently. Unfortunately, we have run completely out of time, and we want to be respectful of yours. So we are going to work with Riley going forward to schedule a fast chat, so he'll be able to discuss in much more depth his projects and opportunities that he's been working with through Eco Green. I've displayed his contact information on the screen if anybody would like to contact him directly. And thank you again so much for your time today, and we hope everyone has a wonderful week. Thank you.